This is Pierre Bouvier, lead singer of the band Simple Plan. I could sing a song for you, Wine 30 with Andrew and Lindsey. Here we go. Andrew and Lindsey hosting Wine 30. Andrew and Lindsey. Through all the best and many more years to come tonight. I'm just a kid. Many more years to come. Peace.
When I bought this Wonderland wine yesterday, I had no clue what was about to happen.
Oh, yeah?
Do you want to know what happened today?
Sure.
Taylor Swift. He's like, where is this going? This is relevant to Wonderland. It really is. She sneaky dropped some new merch for both 1989 and Speak Now, the re-records, and has a new re-recorded song coming out tonight at midnight from 1989. What's one of the best bonus tracks from 1989? Wonderland. So I think she's going to sneaky drop an album here pretty soon. And she may drop both at once. Who knows? But we're feeling the Wonderland vibes today. So this is a 2021 Wonderland Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, which it says it has citrus aromas and refreshing flavors of grapefruit, kiwi, and lime.
Definitely getting grapefruit.
So I guess the Marlborough wine country, where you get like this type of Sauv Blanc, has a long growing season because it gets like a bunch of coastal influence. So that's why their Sauv Blancs are always so good.
Oh, okay.
Long seasons.
So you've had a little couple sips now. What do you think of it?
I do think that like grapefruit, lime, kiwi flavoring they mentioned is very on point.
I don't really feel like I'm getting much kiwi, but
I'm getting tart kiwi.
I could just be overpowered by the lime grapefruit.
I think it's like tart kiwi.
Oh, tart kiwi?
Like I had a tart kiwi this morning.
Oh,
and
you did.
It's very on par with that.
Okay.
I love kiwi. I don't like the overly sweet kiwi though. I like the more tart kiwi.
I just like the word kiwi.
Kiwi. Is it like kiwi in your crypto?
It just feels Australian a little bit.
Isn't it New Zealand, right? That's what they call them, kiwis,
oh, yeah.
like the people of New Zealand. So
right.
And they have kiwi birds and
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kiwi berries.
And this is from New Zealand, so it's like very
makes sense.
Very on it. I enjoy this. I feel like I should be like sipping this in New Zealand. Like take me to the New Zealand coast.
Or like in a pasture.
In New Zealand, on a hill, looking over the coast.
It doesn't have to be on a hill, but yeah.
You're like just a random pasture.
It could be in a valley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like it.
Definitely like very summery, refreshing.
Yeah, it's not repulsive at all.
Actually, we normally have repulsive wine.
We don't, but every now and then.
Every now and then he's like, I'm not drinking this.
Yeah.
Like have a few sips and be like, nope, done. But you enjoy this one. This one's nice. Good. There's a part of me that's like, have we had this wine before?
Wonderland?
Yeah.
It feels like a wine we've had before.
It looks like one I would pick up. That's
probably
why.
A different year, though.
Oh, for sure. We probably did it a couple years ago or something and then came back around.
That's the thing about wine is it drastically changes year to year. So you can have...
Well, that's like you could be like, oh man, I love the BV Pinot Noir or whatever. And then like a year later you could try it again and be like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like it's nothing like... I know I had that with Artessa's like Pinot Noir. Like it used to be very like peppery, like on the back of the throat. Like very dry. And then I had it again a couple years later and it was like super smooth and velvety and like not the same.
I don't know. Maybe it's the climate.
I mean, the climate's always changing. Every year is different.
I know. It's funny because when we talk about Napa, sometimes you always say it's a little different now than it used to be.
Well, it's hotter.
Yeah. I remember more rain in Napa, but that's just...
Well, I think it was it the year you moved there or the year before you moved there? There was an April where it rained every single day in April, like heavy rain for an entire month straight.
I remember when I first moved to Napa, there were flood warnings.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, be ready for floods.
Every year.
Yeah.
And now I feel like they're fire warnings instead.
Yeah, it's the opposite, which
Mhm.
seems like a super radical change for just 20 years. Or
10 years.
actually.
Yeah. So what have you been watching this week?
I know we mentioned this last week, but Severance, that was really good.
He still just wants everyone to watch it.
I do. It's so good. And I have not really been watching anything new. Have you?
No, like, good animes or anything that you're like, yeah, so good.
Nothing that, like, makes me want to just, like, scream from the hills, but I'm sure I've been watching some anime here and there. I've been reading more, we got our Hooply checkouts.
Okay, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But he's been reading more, so he's going to have some
yeah.
stuff. So I've been watching The Circle Season 4. The first couple episodes just dropped. The Spice Girls are on there.
She didn't even wait for me. She
Catfishing.
just, like,
The Spice Girls are catfishing. And there's this guy, Alex, who's catfishing as well. And he's a host of Two Dudes Watch Cartoons, which is a podcast that's, like, in the podcast community that, like, I'm a part of. So it's, like, cool to see a fellow podcaster on The Circle.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool.
Would you do The Circle?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's, like, the one reality show that I feel like I could excel at.
What if I secretly submitted you?
I actually submitted myself for The Circle back in, like, 2020, like, after the first season aired. And then I got an email from one of the casting directors, and then I had to fill out some more stuff. And then they sent me something about, like, a completely different show. They're like, oh, what do you think about this show? And I'm like, I don't want to do that show. I want to do The Circle. So, like, I might try to apply again.
Okay.
But I would have probably cried had I been on there with the Spice Girls. Had they, like, popped, like, their faces popped up and were like, hey, we're playing one of the people in The Circle. Like, I would have probably cried.
You probably would have been really suspicious. You'd been like, yeah, right.
No, like, they showed a video of them on there being like, hey, guys, we're playing one of the people in The Circle, but you'll never guess who. And, like...
You would have cried. You'd been
Yeah.
one of those people.
Yeah. I would have been like, oh my gosh, my childhood. But then I feel like people would have assumed I was the catfish.
Oh, okay.
Catfishing. Or them,
Yeah.
like, catfishing. So then that would probably not be great for me. But
Yeah, well, you never know.
they did Spice Girls trivia with all the people. And I think I would have gotten every single question correct. So
I feel like I would be, like, a really awkward Circle contestant.
you'd be like, oh yeah, the Spice Girls. And then you'd be like, I cannot name a single Spice Girls song.
Be like, huh, will you look at that?
You're like, the
Spice
Zigga Zigga
Girls.
Ah song. That's it. Yeah, so I've been watching that. And then at night, we've been watching a little bit of Teen Titans Go. Because we've discovered it's a good show to fall asleep to.
Yeah, it's not, like, demanding on your mental faculties.
Where you're like, this is a nice little story. But, like, you can easily just shut your eyes and fall asleep and not feel like you missed anything.
That's true. It does feel that way.
So what we've been reading, I'll go first because I know Andrew has a lot more to chat about. So I checked out China Rich Girlfriend this week, which is the sequel to Crazy Rich Asians. So pumped about that. And then also Older by Pamela Redmond. And this is the sequel to the TV show Younger because the TV show is based on a book and this is a sequel. So also very excited about that. And I will let Andrew take it away.
I haven't actually been reading that much.
You made it sound like you've just been reading so much.
I just read a couple volumes of Immortal, and then I read some Batman, and then that's about it. Just comic books. I want to start a novel here pretty soon, but we've been moving pretty hardcore last week. So
Yeah, if you missed last week, we're right in the middle of a move.
yes.
We're in our new place now, in our cool new podcast studio / walk-in closet. So that's pretty fun. What we've been listening to this week, I've been listening to some Blackpink, some Suki Waterhouse, and come 9 p.m. tonight, I'm going to be streaming some Taylor Swift.
Okay, we'll see about that.
What do you mean we'll see about that? Like she said she's releasing a song tonight at midnight / 9 p.m.
Okay. I've been listening to some Nirvana
Nice.
and a bunch of other grunge rock. So I'll talk more about that next week, though.
Oh, I've also been listening to some Banks because Bottle Rock is coming up.
Yes.
And I was like, I used to listen to Banks a lot, but I haven't listened to any of her like recent albums. So I downloaded some of them and I was like, this is someone I definitely want to see.
Yeah.
More at Bottle Rock. So excited about that. What we've been playing, I've been playing basically just Town of Salem.
Yeah, I've been playing Town of Salem. I downloaded this game called Golf with Friends that I'm going to try out.
Do you golf with
I don't know.
friends?
You know, they keep telling me it's so fun, but I'm not really a golfer, so
Is this like a VR game or like a computer game? Like, I'm really confused as to how you're going to golf with friends on your PC. You're
don't
like,
ask. I haven't played it yet. I
you're
don't know.
like, well, I download or I ordered
Somebody
an
bought it.
Oculus off
They
of
bought it
Costco.
for me, so now I feel obligated, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at in life.
Cool. So we are going to take a quick break and we'll be back after a word from our sponsor. Have you ever been rejected for a credit card? It happens way too often, and that is like the crappiest feeling. And that's why Credit Karma created Karma Confidence technology, which helps its members apply with more confidence. Credit Karma uses your credit profile to show you offers that are tailored to your financial situation. Credit Karma partners with a wide range of credit card issuers, so you can be sure that you are exploring all of your options. Best of all, Credit Karma uses your credit data to show you your chances of approval before you even apply, helping you apply with more confidence. I am obsessed with Credit Karma. I log in probably 3-4 times a month. I just like to keep track of things, and I do love that it shows me like the percentage chance you'll be accepted for a card. It'll say, hey, this is a great match for you. You have like a 92% chance of getting like accepted for this card, or, oh, maybe don't apply for this one. It's only a 65% chance. And I think that's just really cool. Comparing cards on Credit Karma is 100% free and won't affect your credit scores. Credit Karma, create your own karma. If you're ready to find the card for you, head to Credit Karma and check out your personalized mix of offers today. Go to creditkarma.com or the Credit Karma app to find the card for you. That's creditkarma.com.
Hello. Thank you for staying tuned with us.
Very in tune with us.
Very in tune. So, news topic. Did you hear that they're now restricting Johnson & Johnson vaccines again because of the blood clot thing again?
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's really confusing when they're like, you got to get a vaccine. And then they're like, no, wait, don't get that vaccine. It causes blood clots. And they're like, oh, but you got to get a vaccine, but not that one. It causes blood clot. It's like, to me, it's like, well,
Like, why even approve it in the first place?
right. Like, we already got it. So,
And I feel like Pfizer and Moderna also have really bad side effects. It's just like picking and choosing which side effects work for you, because they were saying Johnson & Johnson is actually the most safe for older people. Like people over the age of 65, Johnson & Johnson is actually the best choice. So I feel like for a small population of women on birth control with certain health issues, Johnson & Johnson is not the right pick.
see, it says FDA limits use of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, citing clotting risk.
But the thing is, like I said, it's women between the ages of whatever, 18 and 35 on birth control with like the same health issues.
I thought it was just
So,
like 5 women that
It
died.
was. I think they didn't die. They didn't even die from it. They just
Oh.
got blood clots. And
Oh, it's 3.25 cases per million.
that is like such a slim number.
Right.
Like really slim number. I'm not very concerned about the fact that I got the Johnson & Johnson.
I'm not
I'm just,
concerned
like-
either. I'm just kind of saying like
Like it's annoying. And the thing
it's
is
confusing, right? It's like
also
okay.
like the government benefits more from people getting Pfizer or Moderna.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, another surge is coming. Another surge is coming." I'm like, "I don't even know if I trust
And
the government
Pfizer
on
and
that
Moderna
thing."
are big advertisers on most huge media, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you hear news stations being like Pfizer, like they actually, Pfizer is one of their sponsors.
So
right?
in a way
So-
it's becoming like a corporate like capitalist
Mhm.
thing rather than an actual way to help people or whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the news this week, the abortion thing, I'm sure you've seen,
Oh
where
yeah.
they're trying to outlaw abortion again. Like this document was leaked from the Supreme Court. And I actually have a thought on this that's not just is it right, is it wrong, is I feel like every couple years, things like this are leaked. They push the anti-abortion thing every few years, right? Did you notice that most of the time it's on an election year?
Well, they're saying this is the first time, because I did listen to a little bit of radio on it. And they were saying it's the first time something like this has been leaked. Because it was 95 confidential pages.
Yes.
Basically pages to return it back.
But the question is, one, did the Democrats leak it to get more people out to vote in November, or did the Republicans leak it to push, like, look, we're out there pushing something that you really want to happen. Make sure you get out and vote for Republicans to make sure we keep in power. Like, I feel like it was a very, like, the reason it got leaked was because one party or the other is looking for votes in November.
Well, it's kind of like, what do you want your Supreme Court members doing? Like, do you want them rolling back Roe versus Wade?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want them rolling back something that's like kind of like, well, women deserve the right to protect themselves to a certain, especially from like a birth that may be harmful to them.
Well, it's like the same thing as if they were like, all men have to get vasectomies, right? Because the government says you have to get a vasectomy. If you get someone pregnant, you have to get a vasectomy. Like, it's a very similar thing.
I think that the logic that, from what I understand, that I've heard from Supreme Court, is that they want each state to decide for themselves whether they want to be more strict on abortions or more liberal.
Definitely,
that's their argument.
There's definitely a large amount of state, or not a large amount, but Kentucky,
right?
North Carolina,
here's the thing, real quick.
Texas, like all of those states are going to outlaw it.
See, okay, so they leaked that, but they also leaked the specific members that were trying to get it revoked,
which was the majority
which makes
of them.
me think that it wasn't a Democrat or Republican thing. It was just like they were saying the clerks could possibly have leaked it. They were saying there was 95 people with access to the documents, and so they're saying they're trying to. From what I understand, it's equivalent to like cheating in a marriage is the feeling that the judges are getting a little bit, because there are certain things that are leaked, like little bits of like passing through word of mouth, but nothing like this huge.
I mean, technically it could have been one of the judges that leaked it, right?
I was thinking that too, because you have a new judge who's very young. She's young, 35. But then the other judge was 33 when she got in. So it's like, I can't believe these judges are so young getting into Supreme Court.
Yes.
They're 30s? Like, that's crazy. They're going to be in a Supreme Court for 60 years?
Yeah. Or longer if people keep
happen?
Living longer.
Yeah. This happened twice in 8 years,
Which I do have some good political news.
You have good political news.
Good political news.
Okay, hit me with good.
So, Jen Psaki, or Psaki, however you say her last name, the White House press secretary, she had put in her resignation. Next week is her last week. And her replacement is Karine Jean-Pierre. She is 44 years old, and she will be the first completely out LGBTQ person as the White House press secretary, as well as the first Black White House press secretary we have ever had.
Do you think that that's going to impact people and how attentive they are to the House?
Like the White House?
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I want to say screw those people, because they shouldn't be judging the House secretary based on...
I mean, the White House secretary is basically just the person who comes out and answers all the press questions.
It's the mouthpiece, yeah.
And I think she's very well spoken. I'm really excited to see...
I know nothing about this person, so...
I'm excited to see her. She went to the School of International and Public Affairs. She went to the New York Institute of Technology. She's wrote multiple books. And she was a political campaign organizer, an activist, a political commentator. And I think she's going to make a very good White House press secretary. So I am very excited to flip on the news in the morning and see how she does. when she starts, obviously in like a week or so. But
doesn't that feel kind of like a stressful job right now?
yeah, that's probably why the other person stepped down. But
I thought they stepped down because they had a child or something.
Well, they do. Like if they have a young child at home they want to spend time with, and you're working a stressful job that's crazy hours, and you're constantly having like, you know that you have to go home from that job and like update your binders and keep up with everything going on, because you know you have to go in the morning and answer all these questions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And things in politics happen very quickly.
Yeah.
So Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Still going.
We're on what, day 14 or 15 now of the trial. Amber finally took the stand yesterday for the first time, and then again today. And while I like to like side with people who say they've been abused, like I am having the hardest time believing anything she says. It seems like bad acting anytime she describes anything. And I don't know if it's a coping mechanism and those things actually happened, or if it's just like literally bad acting.
Well, what happened?
Well, she's like, oh, this happened to me. I'm not going to recount it on here because it would involve a ton of trigger warnings. But she'd be like, oh, he did this to me and he did this to me, like a bunch of allegations of different types of abuse, like sexual abuse, domestic abuse.
She talks to a psychologist. Is she a psychologist, or she's always talking like she took psychology or something?
Amber?
Yeah.
No, they've had 2 psychologists on the stand that interviewed her. She's an actress, but obviously not a great one. But I'm having a really hard time believing her. And it sucks because if she really was abused and it's just like a coping mechanism that she's speaking in a way that seems so phony, like I feel bad, but also like I don't know how to feel about it, I guess.
I mean, it's hard because you're like, well, I don't know if I believe her, but what are the facts saying? You know, it's like you have to take what she says with a grain of salt.
She keeps saying, oh, this happened. But isn't it weird that she says all these things happened, but the people who saw her that same day or the next day said there were no bruises or signs of injury or any of these things happening? Like, that seems like weird to me. And the fact that she said her nose was broken, but her nose was never broken, and she had red nail polish in a tissue that she said was blood that was nail polish. Like, it's like attention grabby kind of stuff.
There's like not a lot of substantial evidence is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's like when you're saying these stories, like if you it's like the boy that cried wolf, right? If you're always like, oh, he did this and he did this, then like the things that he actually did do are like overshadowed by these lies.
Right. And it's kind of also, you have to remember this isn't about whether he abused her or not.
I mean, it is.
It is. It's about, but it's also about whether she like misrepresented his character.
Yeah.
So it's like if he wasn't doing those things, right? Which it's starting to sound like he wasn't.
And I feel like she's grasping at straws at this point too. She's like, well, he introduced his daughter to marijuana at 14 years old. And it's like, what? How is that relevant to this case at all?
Yeah.
Like, if he did that, yes, it's really crappy and that sucks. Or whatever, it's bad parenting, but that's not why you're here. And that's not what you're talking about.
So I have a question. I know she's countersuing, right? Mm-hmm. Are they just doing those at the same time? Or how does that work exactly? Like, will there be another hearing after this one?
I believe it's one. And that's why they're hearing both sides.
That's good, because this is like going really long.
Yeah. And I mean, they're suing for so much money. Right.
And they're paying the lawyers a lot of money during this time too, because they get paid.
Because he's suing for what, 50 million, and she's suing for 100 million. That's a lot of money, and I think that's why they're taking their time.
Do you think the judge will settle on a lower amount?
Possibly. Possibly. I think if you've watched the clips, the judge is so fed up with Amber's lawyer.
Is she? Oh, yeah.
Amber's lawyer is so bad, and the judge, you can tell, is so annoyed.
Oh, really?
So annoyed. I actually really like this female judge. She's really fun.
How come they are showing it public? Like such a high profile case.
Johnny Depp asked for it to be shown publicly.
Oh.
And if the parties choose to allow it to be public, I guess it can be public.
And she said that's fine too.
No, she didn't want it to be public, but somehow it was negotiated that it would be aired publicly.
Huh.
Because obviously it looks really bad on her character to have it aired publicly, whereas he's coming out looking way better.
I know. He's coming out looking like just a regular decent person, honestly.
Where you're like, yeah, he's a flawed human. He actually talked about how his mother used to abuse his father and how like he grew up seeing that behavior.
Right.
So then when he gets abused in a relationship, he's like, well, I just have to stand here and take it because that's what my father did. Like,
something he doesn't have running for him is that she's a lot younger than he is. So.
Well, she's 36 now.
Okay.
And he's, 54?
Yeah.
So at the time, she was quite a bit younger. She was like 23.
22.
Which then she was like, oh, we were working on a movie together when we first met, and he kissed me in the scene, but it was like a real kiss, and I didn't like that it was a real kiss. And it's like, okay, you were supposed to kiss in the thing, like in the movie. Yeah, he's going to kiss you. It's not like a theater production in high school where you like do a fake kiss. Like you're not even a stage kiss in a movie.
I don't know.
Like,
never been in a movie before.
So, like, when she's like, oh, he, like, grabbed my face and he kissed me. And it's like...
yeah, I remember watching
And it was like, well... Like, yeah, that's in character. Like, think about James Bond. James Bond with, like, Sean Connery was, like, king of the face grab, right?
Well, you don't really want to go back to James Bond because I feel like there was a lot of...
There's a lot of misogyny in James Bond.
Sexual abuse and misogyny. They kind of got away with it because... of that whole male dominant era.
But then she's like, oh, and then he invited me to his trailer and we were drinking wine, and then he lifted up the back of my bathrobe, and they're like, why were you wearing a bathrobe?
Yeah.
Like, you showed up to his trailer in a bathrobe and
she's
wine?
Like, I giggled because I kind of liked it. And you're like...
But then she's like, but I was dating someone at the time and he was married at the time, so nothing happened.
Yeah,
but it was super inappropriate. But it's like, she
probably was inappropriate, but at the same time, it's kind of like.
But it seemed like they'd been flirting for weeks.
Yeah,
and she showed up with wine in a bathrobe to his trailer.
Right.
Like,
and then they got married shortly after that.
Well, then I guess they didn't talk for months, and he like sent her. She was like, he sent me the dress from the movie as a wrap present, and I found that inappropriate. And I sent back these guitars, but then they went on a press tour and fell in love and whatever.
It probably was inappropriate professionally, but at the same time, she probably personally found it kind of like charming.
And I guess at the time, Johnny Depp had already split from his wife, but it wasn't public.
Right.
So she was like, oh, he has a wife. Oh, I have like a partner. Like, this is inappropriate, but also I like the attention because he's like a world famous actor. Like,
well, he was peaking. I mean, he's not peak. Well, he could still peak even.
But
further.
Like in that time, that was like right when the Pirates movies were like at their peak popularity. Big deal. Like he was doing a ton of stuff. He was doing Alice in Wonderland around that time.
I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean's in Disneyland. Do you think they're going to take down that ride?
No.
I know. I don't think so.
Have you seen the clip of Johnny Depp in the ride? I guess, like, once he went to Disneyland and dressed up as Jack Sparrow and went and, like, stood on the ride. Like, so people would go by and he would, like, interact with the people.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd be like, wow, what a great animatronic. Wow. And everyone's, like, taking, like, video.
Yeah.
And then... like, a lot of people didn't even realize it was him as they went by. They're like, wow, that's a really good animatronic thing. And then I was like, I've gone by that enough times. I'm like, I could have gone by him and by and said the same exact thing. The animatronic they do have for him is pretty good, though, on that ride.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know.
I mean, I probably would have looked twice at that, honestly. Be like,
I know after he did the live thing, I think there was like, I went on a few months after that, and I remember being like, is that a real person? And then I was like, no, there's no way that's a person. But like, you always are like skeptical going back to the day. You're like,
Yes.
But he said he wouldn't even go back and do another Pirates movie for $300 million. So at this point,
he said that.
Yeah.
At this point. But maybe in the future.
I mean, after they fired him and everything, when all these allegations came out at this point, he's like, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
I'm not working with those people again.
Right.
And like the owners of Disney and stuff have changed. Or the
I guess
CEO
that's
or
pretty much the end of Pirates of the Caribbean as we know it.
I mean, I felt like it honestly went on a little bit too long as is.
Yeah.
I feel like it should have been a trilogy and they should have like left it there.
The first one was really good. The second was decent. And the third one was...
It was okay. I feel like
okay.
that's when they should have ended it though. It was just
Yeah.
like tie it up in a little bow.
That's true.
Okay, so now we have an interview to share with you all. This is with Annalynne McCord, and she is in Titanic 666, which is available for free to stream on Tubi. She's also been on 90210. She's been in some other horror films, some Hallmark Christmas movie type stuff. If you love Christmas movies, I know I do. So enjoy this interview, and we will talk to you next week.
Who am I? Well, my body's name is Annalynne McCord. I'm Annalynne McCord. I play Mia Stone, a vapid, vacuous, very vain little girl who loves herself and loves her 12 million followers. That's me.
Okay, so Annalynne, I know that you have based past characters off of your sister, who is an influencer.
Don't you do this to me right now?
Who was your influence for Mia?
Does your sister know this?
Yes, my sister wants royalties, and now I'm gonna have to give her more money.
Are you serious? That's hilarious.
Well, it's funny that you ask, because I called my sister Rachel. It's my younger sister, who I literally 2 years into filming 90210, I was like, everyone was like, "You're just so natural at this." And I was like, "Yeah, I really don't know why, because I'm actually quite boring and a nerd, as you know, the nerd part."
I would say boring.
But I was like, I know why I'm good at this, because my little sister, I'm just emulating my sister. So when I got this role, I was like, Rachel, so if I rip you off again, how much money am I gonna owe you?
Is she really like that?
No. She's more grounded. I added the Alexis from Schitt's Creek vibes. I am shamelessly saying I ripped you off, Annie Murphy, and I am not even apologizing for it, because you're just that good.
She would probably be happy about it.
I love what she did.
She did something cool.
The hands. I can't help it. It just happens when I do bull fry. Like, I just can't help it. So there is some Alexis from Schitt's Creek going on. I like, all my friends are like, "You're so ridiculous. You're supposed to come up with your own thing as an actor." I was like, "Fuck that." Oh, excuse my French. I was like, "Screw that." I was like, "No, this lady did something genius, and we emulate Marlon Brando, but it's just a few years ago. She's just now." So they're like, "You have to create something else." I was like, "No, I don't. I actually no. There's no rule. There's no rule that I have to do that, and I will just let her know that all hail Annie Murphy." But yeah, I ripped her off. No, we were just at another interview, and I one of the most fascinating things of the Titanic, I thought, was the temperature of the water. The water was 28 degrees, and I was 10 when the Titanic movie came out, which was what started my obsession. So I had just recently learned that the freezing point of water is 33 degrees, and I was like, how is the water still moving? What does this mean? And then I learned about salination, allows the temperature to drop lower than the freezing point. And the reason that the Titanic broke in half the night of the sinking back in 1912 was because of the sulfur content in the steel. It becomes brittle at 28 degrees, and that was the temperature of the water that night. And so that for me was just like mind-blowing. Like, the water could be a different temperature, and it just happened to be the temperature that makes steel brittle in that period. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so there's my nerd part. You just saw the nerd. Him. He was incredibly spooky. He was so scary.
So spooky. So spooky.
The first day, it was so funny working with Derek. So Derek Yates plays my husband, and we hadn't spoken to you yet, and we had to do the blocking rehearsal. And this one just shows up, like all British actors, way better than Americans, obviously. And he's just like,
I appreciate that. I'll give you that $10 kind of thing.
It's true. I mean, we won the war, but you guys are better actors.
Which war did you win?
The Revolutionary War.
Oh, the one we just let you have?
We'll talk about historical facts later. But so he shows up, and he's like, and oh my gosh, there's this walking down the hallway. This is the very beginning, and Mia and her husband, so me and Derek, are walking, and we're just like, la la la, live streaming to our followers, and he just steps out into the hallway, and it was like, it was so actually terrifying. And I was like, I'm sure he's a nice person.
And I had a big smile on my face. I don't understand.
I don't remember the smile. I don't remember the smile.
Okay, one last question. What drew you both to the movie?
I was obsessed with the Titanic, and it was actually the original Titanic was the movie that made me want to be an actress, and then the obsession with the Titanic itself happened after that. And my team sent the offer, and I literally just called them immediately, and I was like, yes. And they're like, do you want to read this? I was like, no. It's a yes. So it was actually the name.
That's as good a reason then.
And I never read the script. I still haven't read the script. No, I'm kidding. He's like, that's what was wrong.